Welcome to Megan Makes Cupcakes. Today I'll be teaching you how to make some delicious mint chocolate shortbread shamrock cookies. Now that's a mouthful. Stay tuned if you need a little more luck in your life. Okay, so to start out the ingredients you're going to need, we have 3½ cups all-purpose flour, 2 cups of powdered sugar, a ½ cup of cocoa powder, 1½ cups of cubed cold butter, 2 eggs, and some good quality vanilla. Let's get started. So now we're going to take all of our dry ingredients. So we have our powdered sugar here. We have our all-purpose flour and some cocoa powder. Okay, now we're just going to whisk those together. Okay, and because I'm actually using salted butter, because that's what I have today, I'm not adding salt, but if you are using regular unsalted butter, you need to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt to this mixture. And now that our dry ingredients are mixed together, we're going to add our cold cubed butter, and we're going to blend that in. We're going to mix this together until the butter turns into little pea-sized shapes. Okay, so now you can see that our mixture is really coming together, and before we had big chunks of butter, and now they've started to disintegrate into the flour mixture, and that's exactly what we want, a kind of a coarse mixture that looks like that. That took about 5 minutes for me. If you don't have a mixer like this, you could use a pastry cutter or even a fork if you want, or some people even go so far as to use their fingers, but I guess I'm just a little more lazy than that. So now I'm going to add in my 2 eggs and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. All right, and now we're just going to mix that until it comes together. Okay, so now you just want to take some saran wrap and put your cookie dough, kind of spread it out. I'll make it easier to roll out a little bit here. And we just want this to firm up a little bit because we kind of warmed it up from all the mixing. And then just wrap it around the edges and pop that baby in the refrigerator. Okay, so now we have chilled our dough for about ½ hour, and we've put some flour on our board. And then we're just going to sprinkle a little bit of flour on top to make sure that it doesn't stick to our rolling pin. And we're just going to roll this beautiful chocolate dough out. It's going to be so delicious. Can't wait to try it. And we're going to roll this to about 1/4 inch. Want to make sure your dough doesn't stick, so try to toss it around a little and turn it. Add a little bit more flour. And if you find that your dough is still sticking, then feel free to put that back in the refrigerator. It might need to firm up a little bit so it's more easy to handle. And so yeah, we want this right about 1/4 inch. You can do it thinner if you like your cookies crunchy, but I like mine a little more chewy and soft. So that's about right there. And then we're just going to take our beautiful shamrock cookie cutter, and we're just going to cut the surface of the cookie dough. Alright, so now we have these beautiful shamrock cookies all cut and set to go on our baking sheet, and we are going to put these in the oven for around 10 to 12 minutes. So while our cookies are cooling, I'm going to be working on an optional topping you can put on your cookies just to add a little bit of pizzazz to the whole thing. So we're going to make here with our little mini heart cutter, we're actually going to make a mini 4-leaf clover to go on top of our shamrock. And I'm just using some yellow fondant to do that. And we're just going to roll it out. And I also have some gold luster dust we can use to give it a really nice sheen. So we're just going to be cutting 4 mini hearts. And you can use the back of a paintbrush or whatever to kind of pop those guys out. Alright, and because mine is still pretty fresh, my fondant, I just added some yellow food dye to it so it's a little bit sticky. So my luster dust is actually going to probably stick on here pretty well. But if yours is not as fresh, you can actually mix this with a little bit of either lemon extract or clear drinking liqueur, and that will help it stick really nicely onto your fondant. Okay, so our cookies are almost completely cooled, and while they're finishing cooling, we're going to start making our icing for our cookies. So I have some powdered sugar, some corn syrup, some whole milk, some green food dye, because we're making shamrocks, of course. And I want to flavor this peppermint, and so I have a little bit of peppermint extract as well. So I actually am not really following a recipe, I just kind of do it to texture until it's about the consistency that I want it to be. And then a little bit of corn syrup, which gives it a nice sheen and texture. I'm going to add a couple of drops of this peppermint extract. I'm actually at the very end of my bottle, so I'm just going to pour the last of it in. But if you're normally doing this, I would recommend to buy a dropper from the drugstore. It's really easy with really strong flavorings like this to add too much, and I find those little droppers help a lot. Now we're just going to take some of our food dye, and we are going to add it in until we kind of get that green color we're looking for. Okay, so we've gotten this frosting to the color and the consistency that we want. When you lift it up, you can see how it kind of collapses into the other frosting and disappears. Not right away, but pretty soon after it drops back into the bowl. And that's the kind of consistency you want. You can always play around with it and try it out if you don't like it. If it's too thin or too thick, you can add more powdered sugar, you can add more water, either way. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to take our cookie and we're just going to start from the edges and work to the middle here. We're trying not to get it in the edges here, which can be quite a task with this kind of shaped cookie. You could also use a piping bag here if you want, if that works better for you. Now we're simply just going to take these sweet little gold hearts we made to create our 4-leaf clover. And we're just going to put those right in the middle of our cookie. You want to do it obviously when it's wet so that it sticks nicely. And with a shamrock and a 4-leaf clover together, I'd say this is a pretty lucky cookie. Anyone would be happy to receive one of these. And voila, you have a beautiful mint chocolate shamrock cookie for the St. Patty's Day. Thanks so much for tuning in to Megan Makes Cupcakes, and we'll see you again next time.